Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode from where I sit. I'm your host, Dr. C. It is good to be with you again for another weekend. Of course, this is one of our weekly longer videos where I get into teaching mode, and it is my pleasure to be here with you this Saturday evening. We are not going to tarry too much. We're going to get straight into our this evening's discussion. And I want to mention something that I think is very, very important, and it is this. Um, when I got home, we were discussing my youngest daughter's uh, new job. She got hired by Michael's um, this past week, and we're very excited about that for her. We're very excited about her getting started in her real adult life, right? And I was discussing her accomplishment of being able to get this job with Michael's, the arts and crafts store, which, by the way, I do frequent often myself. I'm an artist, so I buy a lot of canvas, paint, and various other supplies there. So I'm quite familiar with the retail outlet, and I'm really excited about her being able to work there. They are starting her off at $11 an hour, which, by the way, is a good amount of money for her to get started. Um, but when I was discussing this with my sister, I have an older sister. She lives in Pittsburgh, PA. And when I mentioned that my daughter was going to be making $11 an hour, she said, $11 an hour? That's not a lot of money. And I paused and I said there, I says, well, we do live in the South. We live in Georgia, right? So we live in the Atlanta metro area. And the fact that my daughter is getting started off at $11 an hour was surprising to my sister who lives in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, the minimum wage for Pennsylvania is 15 bucks an hour. If I remember correctly, Pam, it was 15 bucks an hour. I think that's what you quoted to me. Um, the minimum wage here in Georgia is the same as the federal minimum wage. And the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. It has been like that for decades. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that no one, and I do mean no one, can live as a single person making $7.25 an hour. Now, why am I starting off tonight's broadcast with this idea of the minimum wage in what really is a living wage for everyday Americans? In Pennsylvania, it's 15 bucks an hour. In New York, it's around 20. In I think it's Washington State is also around 20. But here in Georgia, a right to work state, it is $7.25 an hour. Which brings us to our discussion this evening. And the discussion is all about affordability. All about affordability. So without any further ado, let us get into it right now. So I'm laughing because I'm laughing at this slide because I'm trying to keep from crying. So I'm sure a lot of you have seen this photograph, that you are actually familiar with this incident that happened in the Oval Office just a couple of days ago, where the president, that's Trump in the big red tie and looking like he doesn't even want to be there. If you don't know, while he was touting his ability to be able to reduce prices for certain drugs, in this particular drug. What we're talking about this evening is Ozempic and those kinds of drugs that help people to lose weight. He so lovingly called it the fat drug. That's exactly what he called it, the fat drug. And during this event at the White House, this gentleman that was there for the photo op collapsed. He fainted. And if you look to the right of the screen, you see all of these people here trying to attend to this gentleman. And at the same time, while all of this commotion is happening, you see your president just standing there, staring at the camera. Now, there are a lot of things that we can say about this photo, but I'm going to share with you what I think is going through this pea-brain head of his. He is flat out saying, I wish this was not happening right now. And the reason why is because the attention, maybe not, is all on the person who has collapsed on the floor that all of these people are trying to help. And it's not on me. Or this man simply does not have an empathetic bone in his body. He absolutely cannot, physically, psychologically, cannot put himself in the shoes of everyday Americans. And in this particular case, this executive for was it Novo Nordisk, who had collapsed in his Oval Office at this time, he couldn't even give this poor man any of his attention. Others will make the argument that that man who was collapsed on the floor where these people were trying to help him is America. And Donald Trump, in his indifference, that's what he thinks about us. He could care less what is happening to everyday Americans. And this picture gives you a glimpse, even though it's momentarily, a glimpse into how cruel this man actually is. And it's not just Donald Trump. It is the Republican Party who could care less about the suffering of the American people. And before we actually get to the American people and what is happening with those who are on SNAP benefits and they're trying to get their benefits paid out to them this month, we absolutely have to share. Of course, the picture is not the greatest, but the picture is not important. It's what Steve Bannon says that is very important. This was yesterday, I believe. Today's Friday, or maybe it was Thursday evening. Steve Bannon was at an event and he had a warning for Republicans. And by the way, it's the same warning that I've been giving all of you as to the reason why you should not be voting for Republicans. Plain and simple, full stop. You should not be casting any vote for a Republican. And Steve Bannon says at this particular event where he is speaking, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. He's basically incriminating himself and indicting everybody who supports this lawless, evil, cruel, sadistic regime. And yes, when I said lawless, I do mean lawless. They have been breaking the law practically every day. And they absolutely don't care. 100% do not care about the American people. And Steve Bannon laid it out for everybody to see that they are breaking the law. And if they don't try to steal the election in 2026 and in 2028, they are all going to prison. And by the way, guys, talking to Steve Bannon and his the band of criminals that are running our government right now, that includes Russell Vogt, that includes Stephen Miller, who is the leader of these criminals, these Nazis. All of y'all are going to prison. Do not do not promise us a good time, because we are going to make sure you guys go to prison. Not because it's vindictive, not because it's revenge, but because you have all broken the law. And they're still breaking the law today. What new laws are they going to break tomorrow? They've got to go. And so next up is the Trump administration using SNAP benefits as a weapon, as a political weapon. And I wanted to make sure that I posted these two pictures because these two pictures are telling. Whoops, excuse me. Let's go back. These two pictures are telling. And why are they telling? What do you see here? These are mostly white Americans standing in the food lines, trying to get food for their families because they've lost their SNAP benefits. Donald Trump has been quoted as saying, "We can't pay SNAP benefits." I don't know why he keeps doing that. Excuse me. "We can't pay SNAP benefits because the country needs to remain liquid." Yet, at the same time, the federal government, the Trump regime, found it within their heart to give Argentina $40 billion to bail out one of his buddies, one of his authoritarian buddies. He bailed Argentina out with the tune of $40 billion. It only takes about $42 billion to fund SNAP for a year. Yeah, $42 billion to fund SNAP for a year. And he's telling these American people, and I'm going to say this, how many of these people actually voted for this man? Voted for these cruel Republicans? I don't know, but I'm willing to bet that a good portion of them did. And now he is literally hurting on purpose, gleefully hurting the very people that put him in office with the hopes of, guess what, getting a more affordable America. And we are nowhere near that. Prices have skyrocketed since this man has taken office. Groceries are up, gas is up, utilities are up, insurance is up. Everything has increased in price, and there is no end in sight. My daughter turned 26 in October, and which means she is no longer on my wife's health insurance. At age 26, she has to get her own health insurance. And she has complained again and again, why is this stuff so expensive? She's 26. She makes a decent wage with Chick-fil-A. She has a decent job. She has a chance, if she ever wanted to do this, that she could actually become a franchise owner with Chick-fil-A. But I don't think that she really wants to do that. She wants to do something creative. She's a great photographer. I wish she would pursue that. but she's having to pay for her own insurance. And she absolutely has been going bonkers in terms of the cost. Why do I have to pay for everything separate? Why do I have to pay for vision separately? Why do I have to pay for dental separately? Why do I have to have all of these different kinds of insurances just in case something happens to me? It is America today, where the Trump regime gives massive tax cuts to the very wealthy and powerful in the country and wants the everyday American, that is you and me, to pay for it. And the way we pay for it is by going hungry, getting sick and having no health care coverage, or if you can afford to pay for it, to take 50% of your income to pay for health insurance that is so high that a lot of Americans have to make a choice. Do I feed my family, or do I keep myself healthy or from getting sick so that I can feed my family? The Trump regime was ordered by a couple of judges to pay out the emergency funding from SNAP, and they refused. They went to the appeals court, and the appeals court said, we're not going to do this dance with you. You need to pay it. And then they immediately went to the Supreme Court to get relief, where they don't have to pay Americans their food assistance benefits. And the Supreme Court said yes to them. This is the reason why you should never, never, ever elect Republicans. I've been saying it again and again and again. The Republican Party, as it stands right now, does not care about everyday Americans. They do not care about these people in these food lines. They do not care about these people who are masked and trying to get food because they can't get their SNAP benefits. And by the way, these are white folks, not the people that everybody says that are on these assisted programs, SNAP, Medicaid, and all of this. No, these are white Americans. The majority of Americans that are on SNAP, they're on Medicaid, they might even be on welfare, are white Americans. They're not Black and brown people. That is a lie. The fact that they've been feeding you this lie that Black and brown people are gaming the system is just a way to divide us. Let me say that again. It's a way for the rich and powerful to divide the rest of us. We all have a common enemy in this country, and it is the very wealthy, who are getting everything they want at the expense of everyone else. Stop voting for Republicans. We've had a fantastic election just this past Tuesday, and Democrats across the board in the country, at blue states and red states, won election after election after election. The word is getting through. Okay. You are starting to pay attention that, guess what? Republicans do not care about everyday Americans. All they want to do is take all our rights away. They want to take freedom of speech away, freedom of assembly away. They want to get rid of unions, labor unions. They absolutely do not care about us. And the Heritage Foundation, which is the main sponsor of Project 2025, is trying to make sure that Republicans, i.e., the rich and powerful stay in office for the foreseeable future. And we, the American people, cannot allow it. Which brings us to this particular slide. And I told all of you I was going to be talking about this mass blackout every day, all the way up until November 25th. This is your opportunity to take back your country. We're not asking, we are shutting it down. It is a mass economic blackout that runs from November 25th through December 2nd. And yes, this is during the week of Thanksgiving. And why is it during the week of Thanksgiving? Because this is when these large corporations and these very wealthy people who are in charge of them are trying to convince us to part ways with our money to make them richer. It is time for us to take back our country. Don't spend any money during this week. And if you can get away with it, do not go to work. Don't do any work, no spending. Don't go to any restaurants. Don't do any projects. Me being an artist and writer, I do a lot of projects. I'm not doing any projects that week. Don't do any events. Don't do anything. Save your money and your time. And what you should be doing during that week, the week of Thanksgiving? Spend that quality time with your family. Spend that quality time with your family. We're not telling you not to have a Thanksgiving dinner. We're just saying do your shopping before this week happens. Not after, but before. And if you absolutely have to do some shopping during this particular weekend, I mean, I hope you don't have to, but if you really, really, really have to, go to your community and spend your dollars with a small business. And if you are African American, like I am, you should be spending your money with Black entrepreneurs anyway. I've been telling you guys this again and again. Here in the Atlanta metro, go to the new Black Wall Street market over in Stonecrest. Go there. There are lots of great Black entrepreneurs with great products and services that you could frequent. You don't have to spend your money with Walmart, Amazon, Target, or any of these very large retailers that don't care about any of us. All they want is our money. Stop giving it to them. Let's make them feel the pain. It is time for us to take back our country. Now, I'm going to go back a few slides because I think this is important. And I'm going back to this one because this photograph just, oh my God, it gets me. It was also reported that this gentleman who did collapse, by the way, his name is Gordon Findlay. He is an executive with Novo Nordisk, like I said before. Donald Trump didn't even bother to try and find out who the guy was. By the way, he's an executive with Novo Nordisk, which means he's making a good amount of money. He is part of Donald Trump's circle, the top 10%, the top 1%, if you will. And Donald Trump didn't even bother trying to find out who this man was. Okay? He didn't even bother to try and find out who the man was that collapsed in the Oval Office. And the reason why I wanted to focus on that is because of this. That man is a representation of the country. Donald Trump is an evil, cruel, malignant narcissist who has serious problems with psychopathy and he is a sociopath. He is not normal. He's not a normal human being. In fact, he probably represents the worst, like he's a serial killer or something like that. I'm not calling him a serial killer, but that's the kind of person he is. And for those of you who are MAGA that are pleading with him to come and save you, he is not going to do so because he flat out does not care about you or anyone else. And in fact, he is a representation of the whole Republican Party. The Republican Party as it stands today. This is after George W. Bush, and it was bad when George W. Bush was president. It was bad when Ronald Reagan was president, but it is a lot worse right now. The Republican Party does not represent everyday Americans. Stop voting for them. Start voting for your own best self-interest, right? If you are a small entrepreneur, stop voting for Republicans. They do not care about you. Trump's tariffs basically has made entrepreneurs like myself a lot more expensive to get products to the hands of my customers. I'm not voting for these people. You shouldn't either. They don't care about us. So I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to try and keep this as short as I can. There's the rich, and then there is us. I want you to really ask yourself this question. Who is more important? You? Or is it the rich? Is feeding your family more important? Or is giving corporate welfare to the rich and powerful more important? Is you being able to hold on to your job more important? Or is it giving more power to Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, who, by the way, just got a pay package from Tesla of $1 trillion? Is it those people or is it you? Of course, the question is rhetorical, and I already know the answer to the question. You're more important than these people. And your government should be representing you, not them. There are more of us than there are more of them. There are 345 million Americans who are probably struggling in this country. And then there is probably about 5 to 10 million of the very, very wealthy who are not. And they absolutely could care less about the 345 million. It is now time to take back that power. And you showed some signs of being able to do that in these past Tuesday's elections. We have an election coming up in 2026 and another election coming up in 2028. But we cannot wait for those elections to make our voices heard. We are in the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. The second longest government shutdown was in Trump's first term. Well, he broke his own record. And it's not because Republicans and Democrats can't get together to come up with a compromise. It is because Donald Trump is incompetent. Joe Biden, just to remind you, when he was president, did not have one government shutdown in his whole 4 years of his presidency. Not one. That's what competency looks like. And the fact that Trump outpaced his first government shutdown in his first term, and now we are in his second term, and we are see no end in sight in terms of this government shutdown, that just flat out makes him cruel and incompetent. And need I remind all of you, Democrats came up with a great proposal to end the shutdown, to extend the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare, just for a year. And then we can discuss health care for all Americans over this upcoming year. And Republicans flat out said no to such a great idea. They would much prefer keep up the cruelty. And the idea that they're blaming Democrats for this fiasco is unfathomable, right? They really do think we are stupid, and we are not. Republicans are responsible for this government shutdown. They are responsible for the cruelty that they are imposing on the American people. And we need to let them know again and again until they eventually get the message or that they lose power. Either way, they are going to get the message and they are going to lose power. And yes, like I said, they're probably all going to prison too. That's my broadcast for this evening. You guys will hear from me again tomorrow. For those of you who are responding to these videos, and you are, I love it. Continue to share your comments. Let me know what you think about today's broadcast or any of the other short videos that I've put up. I definitely want to hear from you. And if you disagree, I want you to tell me so. Let us discuss it. Okay. I am on my way to 10,000 views, which I never thought would actually happen, but it is. And yes, it's not a lot, but it's a lot for me. And I thank all of you for engaging with me, Dr. C, from where I sit. And on that night, you have a great night. See you tomorrow.